identity of family is changed for the Christian. Because members of a family are children of one father, of the same father and the same mother. Now, if you understand the church to be a family whose father is God, whose mother is the church itself, then that value of family life is no longer determined by the natural relationship alone. So rather than limiting it, it will expand. We are living out the possibility of living out the value of family life and the value of community life. Very often you come to parishes and they say, St. Dominic, one family. I hope when we say such things, we mean it. The examples can be multiplied. But the present revival in many parts of Nigeria of some fetish practices in the name of culture is a betrayal of the true meaning of culture, and also a denial of our Christian responsibility of witnessing, a betrayal of our own responsibility as well. Every single thing that our ancestors did, that they collected in our tradition and culture, every single thing was a response to a question, a problem they had. Ask yourself whether what we are doing now in the name of culture is a response to a problem you have. I mock those who visit shrines with iPhones. What are you doing in a shrine with an iPhone? Your ancestor who started that shrine, did he have an iPhone? The knowledge that we acquire through the communication that the telecommunication provides is a lot wider than the knowledge that your ancestors would acquire by consulting the Juju priests. And why are you taking yourself back? Of course, there are other forms of knowledge that are moral and spiritual that are not just acquired by technology. I agree. But what is your moral and spiritual background now from which you should acquire additional knowledge rather than going back to those who succeeded in maintaining a stable society for their own less complicated world? You are going back to them for solutions to a very complicated world. Now, if we are to move now from culture, but by culture I mean everything the human being does in response to the challenge presented to him by nature, especially the values he seeks to preserve in order to be able to solve those problems or respond to those challenges. Our life as Christians should be such that we draw values from our Christian faith to help us respond to the challenges of life, rather than falling back on responses that we are tied to specific generations and specific times. If we move from there to public politics and public life, here I will say just very little. But maybe here more people will be more attentive. Nobody will deny that there is a contradiction between the amount of religion in this country and the quality of life and the style of life we live. And one asks, where are the true Christians when all these things happen? It can also be said that Nigeria has got so complex that trying to witness has become more challenging and more difficult. That may be true. But does that really mean we can no longer try? After all, Paul warns us in his letter to the Romans chapter 12 verse 2. Do not conform yourselves to this age, but by renewal of your mind, conform yourself, be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good, pleasing, and perfect. Conformism is a dangerous tendency in every society. And conformism is very easy. Very often young people, the youth, present themselves as non-conformists. Youths are the greatest conformists in the whole world. Ask every young person wearing a pair of jeans why he is wearing it. He will tell you it is more comfortable. Is it true? Jeans, comfortable. Fitting. Is it true? Conformism. I should not conform to this world. In this country, especially in the area of politics and public service and public life, things have got tough. Especially, what witnessing of Christians can still be effective after the sham that they called general elections last year, and the ridiculous process that they called the judicial process, when the will of the people was denied and the courts thwarted that will further. What space is still left for further witnessing? The tendency now is for everybody to sit back and give up. I did say sometime that the past administration, Punch newspaper called that administration regime because they saw it as a military regime. That regime was very dictatorial, and it bullied everybody, every opposition to silence. The present one, the way it's going, will be worse. It may not be dictatorial, but it will pecuniarily cajole everybody to acquiescence. I will not be surprised if very soon Nigeria literally becomes a one-party state. I will not be surprised. And what will make that tragic is that all the institutions that would have served as checks and balances for the government would have been collapsed into the executive. Where are the Christians? What can a Christian do? Are we surprised? When we are being led by people who have been publicly convicted, and party leaders have told them, just join our party and your sins will be forgiven. And they join the party, truly they are forgiven, made ministers, and we know what they are now. Are we surprised? When people who are supposed to be leading us and making our laws are quoted as having said, what money can't do in Nigeria, more money can do it. And while you are struggling to find money to pay school fees for your children, taxes are increasing, they are seizing your cars, they are making you do roadworthy tests 3 times for every month. They are destroying your houses because they have suddenly discovered they were built on pipelines. 20 years ago, those pipelines were not there. And of course, the land was not given to you by any government. They have suddenly discovered all that now. But then anytime the National Assembly takes a recess, they send tokens to their boxes. And suddenly remember, those are no tokens but mails and messages.